Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode slash edition slash installment of Freethinkers. I'm one of the hosts, Q. You got Denise in the building. Nikki is probably somewhere on the way. So, you know what? I just realized we don't really have a mantra. Maybe I wonder, do we need to come up with a mantra? That's something, I guess that's a discussion.
Totally come up with a mantra.
Thinking about that, yeah. So for you who don't know, Freethinkers is a discussion group where we discuss any and everything related to any and everything. I kind of like that one right there. So we talk about a wide array of topics. If you want to join, feel free. This is not a closed conversation. This is open. You can come into the comment section. You can also come in live with us. All you got to do is go to the link on the Facebook page. If you're not already signed up to our Facebook page, make sure you get on our Facebook page. There's a lot of conversation that goes on throughout the week on our Freethinkers page. For those of you who are watching through YouTube, go to the Facebook page, and that's where you can find a Streamyard link to get in. All you do, super easy. Click on the link, and it will instruct you on where to go. It'll let you in. We'll see you in the waiting room. We bring you in. Feel free to talk as much as you want or as little as you want. Sometimes people want to sit back and say, hey, I'm just catching the vibe, catching the flow, catching the motion before I say anything. So you're not under any pressure. You're not under any pressure to talk. But when you do, all we ask is that you give your true opinions. Don't say the things that you think everybody's going to agree with. Speak from the heart, speak from the mind, speak from the gut. However you like to speak from, then that's what we do. And we will critique it, discuss it, debate it, reject it, push back on it. All of those things. That's what Freethinkers is about. Keep in mind, this is adult language and adult conversation, adult content. I see Denise over here looking like a superstar over here. She just looked like
I was Imani today, y'all.
You was Imani today.
I was Imani today.
I see you. So it's adult content. So just keep in mind, where you're comfortable having people listen and watch, because there's definitely adult language, not so much from me, but from other people. But there's definitely adult content either way around there. And then make sure you have something in your ears, like make sure you have some type of headphones on so that the sound doesn't bleed. But outside of that, we get right into a conversation. Now, I think we're going to have everybody sound like they was tired today, so I think we're going to have a condensed conversation talking about our first time. I know we talked about at the end of last episode, we're going to get into we had a nice little heated conversation last week about RFK and some of the statements that he made, and we had some homework to do, and we wanted to get into it. I think we're gonna save that until next week.
Do my homework.
I know. I'm still doing homework right now. Okay. So what I will say is I'm not gonna get deep into it, but I'm not totally opposed to him. I think.
What about that comment though? The actual comment.
The comment is not gonna change. The comment will never change, ever. Okay. The comment is not gonna change. I think there's it's weird in today's day, because I think it could be good that we're getting away from political speech. And that may be an instance, but I'm still I'm very leery and hesitant about people speaking for speaking for minorities, speaking for other groups that they are not a part of. The
Right.
history of America is a little too shaky for someone to make a comment about these people needing a special type of whatever. Now, I will say some of the things he look so, and I'm not gonna get deep into it. I promise. Just from what I'm looking, I looked into his history. He do got some weird stuff. He has definitely has some drug issues. He sideways could have been responsible for his brother dying of an overdose because he kind of introduced him to that stuff. He has some weird stuff with a bear that went on like a dead bear. There's several things that's not political friendly in most circles. Some of the things that he did would disqualify you from gaining high political office. Even, for example, I believe it was Ted Kennedy. You know, he had some type of DUI incident where he got in a car wreck and he caused the death of someone else. That's why he never reached for a higher office than where he was, because that stain would be too much for him to reach the highest office.
I think I did see that on that movie. There's a movie about the dad, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only other thing I will say, and I'm still looking further into this, is that he's kind of riding the fence. I don't know if he's doing this just to make sure that he gets in, because he says directly out of his mouth that he's not anti-vaccine, but many of his statements are anti-vaccine. So it's kind of confusing on where he actually stands with it. Since Nikki supports him, I'm guessing he's definitely anti-vaccine. Otherwise, she would maybe. You see, I troll. So I'm guessing he really is. He might just be saying that to get the nomination. But I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to everything that he does, says, or stands for. It's just some of those things. And I guess the other thing I will say, I'm hesitant of someone who doesn't have the background to be put as a head of something. You're not a doctor. You're not a medical professional. For you to be the head, I wouldn't mind being an advisor. And so the part that I will take up for him for is if, because he's getting a lot of heat about the vaccines causing autism. And they're saying, oh, that's absolutely not true. That's crazy. Okay. Well, what's causing it then? If it's crazy, okay, fine. Tell us what's causing it, though. Because there's clearly a heightened increase of autism among children. So if you're not going to speak to what the cause is, don't just say he's stupid and not tell us what the real reason is. So that's one of those things that don't call somebody crazy and you don't have the solution for it. Now, I did research further into it. Some people spoke about the air is causing it. I don't know about that. But another thing is autism is more prevalent in women who have birth at a higher age. So they said back then, you know, the average age was like 21 years old when women would have their first child, and now it's almost 30. So just in general, women are having children at they're having their first child at a much later age, which can contribute to the rate of autism. But anyway, my point is just don't call somebody crazy and you haven't stepped up and identified the real reason of why it is happening. We're not gonna go no further than that. That's a conversation that we will pull back for next week. But I've been looking into it. I
appreciate you doing that.
For sure. So today, and we almost 10 minutes in already. We're gonna have supposedly a condensed version of Freethinkers, since everybody was dead tired, and I'm tired too. I ain't gonna lie. But we're gonna be talking about your first time. So this conversation will be much more personal. People sharing the experiences. Now, typically when people talk about their first time, they either talk about the first time they had sex or the first time they fell in love. I don't know if we're gonna talk about that, but we're gonna talk about a wide array of first times and first experiences. So if you have any questions about your first time, like any questions that you'd want to propose to us for us to answer, feel free to put it in the comments. Outside of that, I know Nikki and Denise and myself, we have some other first time questions that we all going to examine and talk about. And that's what the conversation going to be about. So who want to get started? Who got the first question?
First of all, who is Rudy? Hello, Rudy. Is this your first time on Free Thinkers?
Is this your first time?
So there you go.
Yeah, this is my first time. I've known Q for, thank you. I've known Q for about a good 7 years, 6.
Okay. Well, that's what's up. Welcome to the show. You just jumped right into a live too.
Shout out to you.
Very much so.
Shout out to Rudy. So questions. Who got a first time question?
I think we can always go with the safe. I think this started a very good conversation when we did this in person 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah.
What was your first Free Thinkers? What was your Free Thinkers? Do you remember? Was your first Rudy? You don't count. No, I'm just kidding. What was no, actually you do. Yes, you do. I mean, you did anyways. Regardless.
He may have been behind the scenes many a time. When the first time that you actually saw an episode of Free Thinkers. So yeah.
But what was your first Free Thinkers?
I want to hear Denise. What's your first Free Thinkers? See now, hold on, Denise. Let me tell you this. Nikki was ready to fight me when we were live because I was like, Free Thinkers goes back to meeting of the minds for me. So I was trying to get my first meeting. She's like, no, oh hell no. We ain't worried about meeting of the minds. We talking about Free Thinkers. I'm like, but that's where it started for me. Like the Free Thinkers thing, that was like, that's halfway in for me. So I kind of wanted to go back to that. So anyway, Denise, you have the option to go back to your first meeting of the minds that transition into Free Thinkers, and then you can still also talk about the Free Thinkers as well.
So that's where my mind went because am I breaking up? No, okay. So
it seemed like we probably got a delay, but you're not breaking up.
But that's where my mind went to, like my first meeting of the minds, right? And so I know for me that was at Joe's coffee situation. And
so your first was Genuine Joe's.
Yes, Genuine Joe's,
okay.
Right? And I was.
Do you remember the year?
Huh?
Do you remember the year?
2016, maybe? Is that accurate?
Okay. 2016. That would be about a year before Free Thinkers started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
for those who's listening who don't know, Free Thinkers, we started as Meeting of the Minds. Meeting of the Minds was a group that many of us was a part of. Meeting of the Minds started probably around, I would say like anywhere from 2010 to 2012. Meeting of the Minds have been going on for a while, and then we actually transitioned.
No, we did not.
Myself and the person who was running it, we had a disagreement as far as different philosophies, and then we actually separated and created Free Thinkers out of Meeting of the Minds. So that's what we're talking about. But go ahead, Denise.
Yeah. So I met Selah through like music stuff. I was somewhere and I think she did poetry, and then she told me about this night. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then I get there and there's so many different types of people. So it was like what I thought church should be, which is like people just bringing their different ideas.
You always call this your church.
I do, yeah. Even though we have different backgrounds and different beliefs, right? And so I remember Felicia was there. You know, Felicia was a Satanist. I don't know if she still is.
Yes, I do. Yes, I remember that.
And I loved her. She was like one of the most sweetest, logical people I had ever met. And then we had some guys that were like more like, I guess, kind of Black Israelite, kind of Hotep energy kind of guys. Then we had atheists there. We had Christians there. We had and then we had different varieties of Christians there. And I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, this is what I thought life should always be. A bunch of different people being able to have different conversations and not agree and it not have to be a thing. And I felt like that's how the world should be. And so I was so impressed by that and thought it was so dope. And I was there the night of the fallout. And
Hold on. So okay.
I was there. Because I hadn't been, this is the thing, I hadn't been going that long before the fallout happened.
Okay.
So I was there the night of the fallout because the fallout was based on philosophy, Christian philosophies and things like that. And it was, and so sometimes what happens, I was kind of shocked that this happened because I felt like we had conversations like this before and it didn't become all of that. But you know, sometimes, anyway, so the long and the short of it is, I was kind of didn't know how to approach the freethinkers thing because it was a very awkward position to be in.
Right, because you got introduced through Selah, and it was like,
Right. I was introduced through Selah, and so it was like this weird position I was in where I was like, I don't know what to do here. Like, I can see how this person feels this way. I can see how this person feels that way. I can feel how the people feel wronged, and I'm not like a side picker. So as long as people know that I'm going to be friends with who I want to be friends with, and long as everybody respect that I'm gonna do what I want to do, then we're good. And so me coming to Freethinkers, I had to take my time, and then, but I don't know if I ever came to Freethinkers until after I was gone from Austin. Because not too long after that, I was in Houston. So I don't think I actually came to Freethinkers until the pandemic.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. Goodness.
Yep.
Because once, like once she moved, that was like she never came back.
Yeah. So I think it was like, because I don't think y'all started Freethinkers immediately either.
No.
No,
it was about a month gap. It was about a month and a half gap. Because it took me about 3 weeks to realize that Nikki wasn't coming back. And I'm like, where Nikki at? So I finally called her. And, you know, me and Nikki didn't have no relationship like that. I'm like, where you at? Nikki didn't strike me to be the type of person that get in her feelings just over a heated conversation. And I found out later that it was more than just a conversation that was had. It was something else. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, no, that's not. And then my biggest issue was she was under the assumption that I signed off on it. And I was like, oh no, I didn't sign off on that at all. So that was an issue for me when it seemed like somebody else was speaking on my behalf for things that I was not in agreement with.
Yeah, see, I'm not privy to that part of the story. And I think the first night everything went down, we were all talking like,
hold on, time out. Do you remember you might have said it. So the first time you came, what was the conversation about?
I want to say, it was something either like spiritual or something about mindset. It was something along, or at least that's the one I remember, because I remember getting into it with the Hotep guy. He was so mad at me because he was basically saying that like mixed people, like you shouldn't be with mixed people or something, or he was saying something about mixed people not being really black, or like he was like downplaying mixed people. And I remember being like, bro, your girl is mixed. What are you talking about? And he was so mad at me. Like, the girl literally had just said, like, one of her grandparents was white. I was like, bro, what are you talking about? How dare you get on here and do this whole preaching thing about how the blood is diluted or whatever he was saying. I was like, get out of here with that. Anyways, that's the one that I can remember. I don't know how we got to that conversation, but that's all I could like actually remember about that time period. But I was there. It was very short before things went down. So past meeting of the minds, the first time you came when we were Freethinkers, do you have any recollection or thought about that? No, it's always the same thought. It was like, oh, pandemic. Like, and I think that's what it was. It was like, it's the pandemic. what the hell I got to do? I ain't got nowhere to go. They always consistently on Facebook doing this. I'm like, this is the time to jump in. Like, this is like, and so I just jumped in, and I don't remember the first day, and I just remember I just kept coming back. I was an addict at that point. That's what's up. I think it's loving how I felt.
I would say, and if there's a learning lesson, because we love Denise and we're glad that she's a part of us. If there's a learning lesson is, especially like she said, as long as you cool, that I'm gonna be cool with everybody and I'm not taking sides and stuff like that. Had we either Nikki or myself been doing a lot of public beefing and smearing and throwing out, trying to dirty up people's names, then I'm pretty sure Denise probably wouldn't have been a part of this. So
that would have been because that's okay. Because now we're doing.
And that's one thing I've never smeared anybody's name. I've never talked bad about. And even I know Nikki may have different thoughts than I have because she has different experiences. It still wasn't something that she was going to publicly do. And Nikki even took me off the ledge several times because I was still like, no, this is ours. We keep the same name. She's like, no, we're gonna do something different. Like, nah, forget that. We gonna be at the same spot. She's like, no, let's just go somewhere. Like, she was like, we're gonna take a different road, a different path. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, all right, you got it. But that was despite on how she felt then. She was more into, we're not in combat or competition with anybody. It's time for us to do our own thing. So that when you bring the right energy,
shout out to Nikki.
Shout out to Nikki. When you bring the right energy, then you attract the right energy also. And I believe our group has profited because of that. So let me ask you, I know, and feel free to decline if you want to, Rudy. Say as much or say as little as you want to. I know you're just kind of peering in. Because I have no idea. I know I've known you for a little while. I've known you for quite a while. I have no idea when you actually started checking out the podcast or checking out what we do. Like, can you add anything, or can you describe like when the first time that you actually saw us live? Because I know you haven't been to any of the in-person meetings that we used to have or have. So you must have only experienced us through Facebook or, seen. Can you describe anything about just the first time that you saw us in a conversation and what your thoughts was about that?
I think it was, I remember you used to always invite me to these freethinker sessions when I worked at Spectrum. And I just never had time. I could never make time. Right. And then, life happened and I got, involved in marriage and family. But now I think I bumped into you a couple months ago at HEB over there on 6.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And that's when I was like, we talked for a little bit and you mentioned something about a podcast. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool.
I remember that.
I think the first one, and then after that, a week or two later, I went on Facebook and I saw, because I was on Facebook for a while. Like I went through this whole, like, I call it like a fast, through social media. I went off for like.
Denise does that routinely as well.
Yeah. So I went off of like the whole, like, I don't know how I did it, but just January 1st of 2020, I literally turned off my Facebook and I didn't know any, I just went off, and then it wasn't until like 2 years later I got back on, and then I got off again. And then recently I just got back on, and that's when I bumped into you. And then I think it had to do something about relationships, something about maybe the roles between men and women,
gender roles
between men and women. And of course, that's always a that can always go one or the other way. Sometimes you have women that are mothers and men that are single fathers. or women that have to, single mothers that have to do the two roles.
Mm-hmm.
Fathers that are single fathers that I think sometimes men just do the one role, is be a father, and women do the two. And then I was just listening to everything that was going on there, and it's pretty prevalent. You see it a lot of in the red, you call it the manosphere. You call it the manosphere, the red pill. Lately, has been taking off a lot.
So we doing a lot of arguing and
yeah,
we going at each other's throats that episode.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of back and forth, and I just kind of just kicked back and just watched it. I was just kind of like a ninja, just like watching it. I didn't like it. I didn't just, just back there. And then every now and then when I could just hop in on other things. And I think last time I was able to see it 2 weeks ago when you all were speaking about should pastors have a political
okay, that was high IQ. That's a different show that I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I know that because of that female Episcopal bishop mentioned something in the to Trump a couple, like I think.
Right, I remember that.
I don't know.
Yeah, she challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was like due to that. If you just, but that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
For sure. All right, see, Kevin, that's the proof. I told you I'll be going at everybody. I'm curious, Ivory. Let's see. Yeah. See, and we can get there because I'm honestly I gave when we were in person, me, Nikki, Yahuk, and I, we kind of told our story. We can get to that at the end. I'm kind of curious about Ivory and Chevis. But Ivory, what was your first time? Because I know you've never been to a Freethinkers in person. Everything is more been online for you. Can you remember your first Freethinkers experience, and can you tell us about that?
I do not know. I cannot remember. Like, I really wish I could remember the first.
It was pandemic for sure, because that's when Black Tea was still involved, and we were all kind of mixed in with each other.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely during the pandemic, and
we started doing Freethinkers before Black Tea Talk, though, right? Or was it after?
And before pandemic. It's just we didn't go online until pandemic.
Well, that's what I meant. Did we start going online with Freethinkers before Black Tea Talk?
It all. I remember it all kind of around the same pandemic-y time.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I cannot remember what the first show was. I really wish I could, but I can't remember. I do remember I used to laugh because sometimes y'all would be talking about some stuff and I would just turn my camera up to the ceiling.
I really don't want to be associated with
I was like,
explicit material.
My face can't be on that. I'm doing better now. I stay on more even when
she does a digital clutching of the pearls quite often.
This is my digital clutching of the pearls.
Okay, that's what's up. Chevis, I don't know if you're available to talk at the moment, sir, but the question is, do you recall? Now, I don't remember you being to any in-person ones that we have. I think you've only been to the online ones. Are you able to speak to the first time you encounter Freethinkers or meeting other minds? I'm really not sure where you came in, so if you could speak about that a little bit, then that'll be cool. If not, then that's fine as well.
Word up, y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Word up. Peace and blessings. I can't quite recall the first Freethinkers, but I'll tell you this. Once I got wrapped in, I kept coming. And that's what I invite you to. I invite you not to maybe base it off of one conversation, but to get into the bigger conversation of it all amongst contributors, right? That have given each other the space to freely think. So I can't quite recall the first one, but I've been to an in-person for sure. I've been to an in-person at the truck. At Brent's truck.
Yeah. I remember at the truck later on down there. Now I remember See, Chevis got mad at me. I remember that. He got mad.
He got mad at me once too.
because he definitely felt I misquoted the late great Malcolm X, and I was like, nah, I ain't misquoted, but we had a back and forth about that, but it was all good.
I remember that one. I was on that one too.
I feel like that was the first time I remember, because you were telling me how to pronounce your name and all that. So I feel like that was maybe the first time, and I was like, okay. But you know, I might
have got on before that. You know, really,
okay.
I know Nikki for a long time. Okay. Yeah, no doubt. Well, I appreciate the inclusion, man. You know, it's peace. Freethinkers is peace. It's a peace space, man.
Absolutely.
Despite the spiciness, it really is, right? Like, if your first meeting is a fight, it's a good meeting. Shit, you know what I mean?
You know, see, y'all wasn't here when we were in person. I was pointing out all the times that everybody got in a beef with me. I pointed out when Smack had it out with me, when Yahook and I had it out with me. I went all the way down the line. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you said this about
was your first fight. Freethinkers was born was the first fucking fight. That's how it happened.
Oh wow. But it's interesting that we fight.
Conversations can't get heated though.
Yeah, they can, and I think they're supposed to. If you're really speaking from your heart, which we always encourage you to do, how could it not get heated at some point in time?
Yeah.
If conversations never get heated, then that tells me that people are not really speaking from their heart,
right?
Because there's no passion behind what you're speaking on. So
right.
I think the good thing about that is despite the disagreements, we all can come together and break bread the following week, because if you do have disagreements with other people, they usually break off and don't associate with each other anymore. They just kind of branch off and do their own thing. So the mere fact that we are able to do that, that's one of the things that keeps me coming back to Free Things. Yeah, we're going to have our agreements and disagreements, but we can still come together and reconvene and talk about certain subject matters and give our opinions on it. So, that's what it is.
I love that. And we tease each other too after the fact. Like make fun of each other for getting mad. Because
I told you should have been there with us in person. I'll talk about you who can I snapped off on me. Like, no, you gonna let me talk.
For that episode. It was so good.
Yeah, boy, it got heated real quick.
Yeah, it's all good. Like, I enjoy it. Honestly, I do. So that was me personally wanting to know about the people who weren't at the live meeting that we had the week before last. But Nikki, Yahook and I, and myself, anybody, if you want to kind of recap your first experience that everybody else didn't get a chance to hear when we were in person, and you can do it if you want to now.
Yahook and I, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. Recap it for those that don't know. My first time is when I was working with a Q at a company called Vimeo. It was a sales company, so it was at we was in the lunch break room or whatnot. So me and Q kind of connected through chess. So we would have our chess battles at lunchtime. For about an hour, 30 minutes or so. And then he extended the invitation for me to come out to this, this event that he had going on Tuesday nights. So, it's kind of funny because last week when we did the live session, we kind of it was like a reconvene at the spot where I started it at as far as that goes. So when I got the invitation, we met up at Spinners. So, that was my first time. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I do remember that, I wasn't too far from the meetup spot. So I was like, I could just go ahead and, wrap around and, take a little 3-minute drive and meet up there. So, when I did the first meeting, because I was open to it to see what was going on, to get a feel for it. And, after that, the rest is history. I just kept coming, and, that it was a transition from Spinners to Joe's, a coffee shop. And then, that's the rest is history as far as that goes, short and sweet.
That's what's up. Nikki, and you see how argumentative I am. I tried to tell him. I'm like, no, that wasn't the first spot that we met up. You met us. He was like, how you gonna tell me?
Yeah, he tried to tell me about my experience. He was trying to tell me about my experience. I'm like, come on, man.
I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right.
Come on, man.
I piggybacked you though, Q. I was like, no, he was at the coffee shop with long dreads because I remember. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, who? I'm like, you know. But then when he said he had been to, because we did go back to Joe's coffee shop after
right.
I was like, well, I mean, like, why would he not know his first time, right?
That's what I meant about his lived experience.
Like, you can have it. But I want to back up to what you said at the very beginning, and I'm not going to rehash it because, you know, I think for people who might not know the story, obviously they're curious to know, like, where do we come from and who are these other people that they're talking about. But the reason that I said 2 weeks ago in person when we asked this question, you know, what was your first experience? For me, the reason for starting at Free Thinkers was because that's where this starts, right? We've all had experiences with each other oftentimes. I shouldn't say all, most of us previously in Meeting of the Minds, obviously. But for me, once that fight happened that day, and I totally forgot that you were in the parking lot, Denise. Once that fight happened that day, I was done. Coming back was not a space for me to return to. And when it became communicated to me that you ain't fucking welcome anyways, I'm like, all right, well, that's fine. So for me, there wasn't a transition. There wasn't we're going to move over here. It was I'm fucking out of here. And whoever fucks with me after this day fucks with me, and whoever doesn't, that's okay. I was too a little bit new. I didn't start coming until 2016. And I made a lot of wonderful relationships with people that I absolutely fell in love with, like immediately, right? But I also knew that all of y'all also had different relationships with the whatever of that particular group too. So being a new person, not wanting to step on toes, not knowing what people feel about me or this or that particular dynamic, and you know how people be. There was no transitioning. It was okay for me. And then when you called me, it was like, let's go eat. I'm like, hell fuck yeah, because I too missed it. I missed it greatly. I missed all of the people, and it was Tuesday church for me too. And I don't even do church, right? But that was my space. I was going through a divorce after 17 years. Like, who the fuck am I? Like, there's just so many things in my spirit that I needed to talk about with people who were able to talk, and so many people are not able to talk. And these were people who were able to talk. And I was like, shit. And when we sat down at that table, me, you, and Prince, and you're like, yo, let's do something. So you asked 2 weeks ago in that conversation, something to the effect of like what did the first Free Thinkers mean to me? Oh, why am I getting choked up? And so to what Denise just said, I was just grateful that who showed up, because I know that people had to make a decision. I know that people felt like they were in a place where it's like, oh, shoot, what do I do? I'm friends with these people and I'm friends with these people. And, if I pick one, is the other going to be unhappy? And I just hope that I always made it clear to everybody that I'm cool with whatever you choose to do. If you have to step back for a while and just kind of be like, I don't even want to deal with neither one of y'all.
Right.
If you want to come to both of us, I don't care. And so that very first meeting, everybody that showed up, I was just so grateful and so humbled that, people would come to this thing, me being the troublemaker, all of this shit that had been said, throughout the course of those couple of months in between the fight happening and people getting in their feelings and whatever, I was so grateful that people showed up, and that every single Tuesday since January of 2017, people have continued to show up. And for me, that says everything. That says everything about my character, that says everything about Q's character, and that says everything about what we've tried to grow here and foster here and maintain here, right? Because just like we argue here, some people leave and don't come back. They're like, well, if y'all argue then, why did you leave? It was different. What happened there is not what we do here. And maybe what happened there is why do it here the way that we do it, so that people know you can come back. Even if you don't like me, you can come back. Even if you don't like Q, you can come back. Everybody likes Q, you know.
No, they don't. What in the world are you talking about?
So it was.
I just gave you a rundown. Everybody had an issue with me. But I will say there's never been a time where a conversational conflict, I've never remotely tried to make a person feel like they're unwelcome to come back. You can say whatever because I protect free speech over everything in this group.
Right.
Even if you're talking about me, that it's your right to say it. And some of the craziest stuff, even in our Facebook page, you can call me whatever you want. I'm gonna post it. I'm not going to, because I do have the ability to delete posts or remove people. I'm not deleting or removing nothing. That's your opinion.
Right.
You have the right to feel that opinion. I will never censor anybody in this group.
So y'all, I actually left Austin either January or February 2017 and went to Houston. So that's why I never did it in person.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that would be it then. Yeah.
Yep.
True.
And I want to give a shout out, right? Because you had decisions that you had to make, right? Jules had decisions that she had to make.
True.
We had decisions that he had to make. Hell, Q had decisions that he had to make, right? Like there was a lot of people who their heartstrings were being pulled because they just didn't know, right? And I never shied away from what happened. I was fine with talking about what happened. I mean, hell, you seen it on social media at that time, what happened. And for me, it was never anything other than we just needed a new home to have another conversation group going. And if y'all want to come over here, then this is where we gonna be at, wherever we're gonna be at. And it's just continued to be exactly what I believe in when you think of the word free thinker, right? So when people ask me, oh, what is free thinker? I'm like, what does it sound like to you? That's what it is. And so that's what it is.
Absolutely.
So I am very protective over free thinkers. I am very protective over, we didn't transition. We didn't merge. No, baby, we started over. We started something brand new January of 2017. And this is us. This is us.
Now, I will say,
some
free thinkers is a completely different energy than Meeting of the Minds.
Yeah.
And that's no shade to what Meeting of the Minds was.
No, it's not. I love Meeting of the Minds, but I'm like, they're two different things. You know, and it's so weird.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah, and I realize that even when I hear pastors talk about that often too, like pastors who may be on assignment at one church and they go to another church, because you go from one church to another church, even if you started at one church and started another church, there is just different. The people make the energy, and it's just something different. So you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to replicate what I did here and take it there." No, it can be two different things.
I want to say this too,
sure.
Like as a free thinker, and I've always been like this. I've always had friends that actually hate each other. Like I've always been this way. But I want to say, as a free thinker, if you are any person, if you're ever in a situation where you feel like there is this conflict between your friends, and they decide they no longer want to be friends, it's like, if a person is truly your friend, they will understand if you want to remain friends with someone that they dislike. I think the only problem is when it's like, you know that this other person is my friend. If you need to vent about something or talk about something, that's one thing. But don't think that I'm finna sit up here and talk shit with you about this other person, because that's not what we finna do. So it's like, a real friend will just respect your mind. They won't ask you to choose. A real friend will never ask you to choose.
Denise, let me go. If a person, it could be one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
If a person can't be okay with you being friends with somebody that they're in opposition to, one of two things. One of them could be that what was the first one? Oh, golly.
I want to say
just they're immature.
Right.
The first thing could be immaturity. The person is just immature and they can't handle you being. But the second thing can be they may not trust you.
You don't trust.
If you have a reputation for running your mouth, and I'm gonna talk to you, and then you turn around and tell the next person what we had conversations with, then that could be another reason why a person wouldn't want to be comfortable with you being friends with their opposition. Like for me,
they're projecting, because if I never talked shit to you about what somebody else said, like there's no reason for you to think that.
And that goes back to immaturity, like I said.
Yeah.
So for instance, in high school, I had a bunch of friends and none of them liked each other. I mean, none of them. It was the craziest thing. Like, oh, you hanging out with them? But they were all cool with me and I was just one of those people. Like, my friends is my friends. You don't get to choose my friends for me. Yep. And so everybody was always cool with me. They wasn't gonna stop being my friend, even though they didn't like my other friend. And it was so funny. I had so many friends that did not like each other, but they would tolerate each other just because they liked me. And they knew that I wasn't gonna, whatever conversation we had, it wasn't gonna go back to them. However I felt, I was always gonna be Switzerland regardless. My relationship with you is my relationship with you, and mine with them is mine with them. And when a person can trust, go ahead, Ivory.
Okay, I want to say, I do think it's a flip side to this. Not this situation, but this type of situation for friendship. I am a big loyalty person too, though. Not in the sense that you can't be friends with someone who's not my friend, but if someone is actively seeking to destroy me, and
That's
you're
true.
one of my close friends,
I agree with that.
That's very different.
I might be in my feelings if you keep that. Now, if it's just we don't care for each other, I mean, who cares? But they're on a mission to destroy me.
They going out of their way to destroy you.
Yeah, that's very different.
No.
But then it comes how can you be cool with somebody like that? And it's I can be cool with you, but you got to fix this first.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can't be. Because there's certain things like such.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to your point, when my close friends are at odds with somebody and they start talking in a way that's hateful, I'm shutting you down. I don't even care if I don't like the person or don't know them. We don't do that. So I tell my friends, is that what you on right now? Oh, you need to call somebody else.
Right.
I'm not the one for that. I said, so if you got them set in your head as the devil, you need to call somebody else and tell them.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to talk crazy about my other friend in my presence. That's not going to,
I don't care if they're not my friend. You will talk about no one like they're not a human to me.
Yeah.
Once you start plotting and you're vengeful and you call somebody else, I don't even need to know them. I just know I'm afraid for your character right now.
That sounds like some girl stuff. Y'all be
off of
blood.
Call somebody else because I'm not the one.
Some women problems.
Y'all be out for blood. Denise, let's try to get to 3 to 5, at least 3, maybe 5 categories. What's the first question that you have pertaining to your first time?
I don't have any. I could come off the cuff, but
No. That's fine. If you ain't got none, I know you've been riding the train station, meeting people and stuff like that. Nikki, do you have any?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, give us the first one.
Let me see. Oh, I liked this one. I liked my idea. What was the first conspiracy theory that you gave merit to?
Conspiracy. Okay, so let me say this first.
I'm using the quotes because that shit ain't conspiracy to me. Right? First conspiracy.
So the weird part to me is that I come up with my own conspiracy theories. It's not something that somebody else tells me. It's something like me. The church's chicken is drug dealers, and they using the store to funnel their money. The whole thing about Target and Walmart being in cahoots with each other to prevent themselves from being a monopoly. I come up with that stuff. That ain't nobody. I don't really follow.
That ain't what I asked. I asked what's the first conspiracy theory you gave merit to, not the ones you came up with, but the ones.
I know, but okay. So I guess my answer would be I don't think I follow conspiracy theories unless I come up with it myself. I don't think I've I can't think of any. I have to think about that further. I'll open it up to somebody else. If you've come up with or not come up with, what's the first conspiracy theories that you gave merit to? I believe that Nikki is saying. Somebody jump in.
I would say probably like merit, where I was like, I think this could potentially be a thing.
Yeah.
Was the chemtrails thing. Where I can like look back on it and go, this could be, and the like what's the other one that where they can manipulate the weather?
Weather modification.
Yeah.
That's one that I can say that like back then I was like, and now I'm like,
Oh, okay.
You know
so the one that I can give is that
when was that for you? I'm curious.
This is probably like 2010.
Okay, so it's been a minute. Okay.
So let me say this one real quick, and I think the one I will have is and I think I alluded to this maybe last week. The whole thing about white people pushing AIDS in Africa to experiment on Africans. That's something that didn't come to me naturally, but
white people or the U.S. government?
Same people.
Tomato. Turn your camera up, Ivory. I didn't come up with that, but then once and it wasn't even that directly. Like I was like, oh, that makes sense. But once I just followed the history of what the government has done in the past, it's like now it's making a lot more sense that's probable to me.
Okay.
But I ain't gonna go no deeper into that. Somebody else jump in.
I totally would not mind expanding on like why you feel that way, Denise. Like what made you kind of so in that realization, like where did you start to believe that they are actually modifying the weather or that these are chemtrails? Like because you saw like what changed for you?
I think it was more so like seeing it and then seeing like consistently that things were off, and maybe it's just global warming. I don't know, but it like consistently things just weren't right. And you know, I'm like, maybe this is true. Maybe this is accurate because it just consistently wasn't right and consistently off. And like, so yeah, I think that was the one. And then it was like, why are these chemtrails here? What is this about? Like, why? What would be the purpose?
How do you feel about them now being 15 years into this, giving them merit? How do you feel about them today?
I'm kind of more so like, okay, guys, if you want to control the weather, can we do something good with it? Like make it rain in California. You know what I mean? Like I'm more so like, you're going to do what you want to do, but can we like do something decent with it? Like make it rain in California. Like maybe let's not do the tsunami thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Do you get much pushback? Do people still like, and maybe no one's ever thought that you were crazy, right? But do people think that you're crazy? Do people think, it is global warming? Like, oh no, those are contrails, not chemtrails. Like, do you like if ever this conversation is about? Do you get much pushback? What can you find?
I don't even actually bring the conversation up to people because I like kind of see who's on my frequency, and if they want to talk about it, cool. But I'm not about to convince nobody or nothing that I'm not completely sure of, you know.
Another modification chemtrails. Ruth, what about you? That has conspiracy theory that you've given merit to.
Myself? 9/11.
Okay. When? Was it shortly after 9/11? Was it further after? Like,
no.
There's a timeline for me.
No. I was like 14 when that happened. I was in total bliss. It wasn't until maybe I got older and I was in the Marines for about 8 years, and then I got out and I started questioning a lot of things, and I stumbled upon this one individual named Ryan Dawson who made very great arguments on how, of course, it was an inside job. Inside job. And that the fact that because I served in Iraq, that we didn't go to Iraq for us to get oil. We were already getting oil from Iraq. The only time that we never got any oil from Iraq was in March of 2003 when we invaded. But other than that, the production before and after, we always got it. But it wasn't until further research that I found out that another country not too far from there needed oil. And we were contracted to go in there and take out the local regime because the Saddam regime did not want to give oil to a certain country, which I'm not going to name, a certain country that was nearby, because that certain country he hated and everybody else hated.
Can I add to that?
Go ahead.
9/11 was my gateway drug to conspiracy theories. So actually, it was 9/11 first. That was the first thing that I saw that I was like, ooh, and then chemtrails and all that other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't believe that. I still don't believe that the buildings collapsed on their own. I mean, yeah.
Well, hear me out on this.
Sure.
So recently, I've been smoking like meat. I've been smoking meat on how to, do cooks and stuff like that for like brisket and all that. And I've had my smoker for a while, and I've noticed that my metal on my smoker warps from the heat, right? And it's not really high heat, and it's pretty thick steel,
right?
So I did further research on it, and I had a buddy of mine who did that kind of like as a hobby, did metalworking, about blacksmithing, and he said, yeah, no. At a certain temperature, obviously metal beams do not melt, but they do give way, they do warp. If you have so many of them around in a square and they're warping, the top of whatever's on that is gonna come down.
Right.
And whatever if that's tons and tons and megatons of however much that is, comes down, it's gonna collapse as well. But like there's other arguments that I'm citing Ryan Dawson on this, that there were trucks that were in and out of the basement building of 9/11 days before. And also the water sprinklers, the sprinklers that were supposed to go, that were supposed to shoot the water all the way up to the buildings, were turned off.
Okay. All right, time out. I see ahead of time we about to go down a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. I see the potential right now. I see the potential. Nope. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna stay on this topic. We can save that for another topic. See, I can see. I've been doing this
conspiracy theory topic. That's what
we can do. That. That's good. I'm with that. That's something that we add in there.
And real quick, put it on the list. Hold on, let me put it on the list.
Yeah, put it on the list, nigga. Okay, so.
And Rudy got to come back for that.
Yeah. So people, this is one. Feel free to chime in or not chime in as much as you want to, or little as you want to. First time you smoke weed. Anybody want to go ahead?
Okay, so let me give y'all some perspective, right?
We want to know how you feel about it, how what the experience and everything.
I was such a goody, y'all. I was a virgin till I was 23. I grew up in church. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I did nothing, right? And then I lost my virginity, and it just opened up the gates of hell for me. And
they told you was gonna happen.
You just threw your hands up like, what? Wilding out.
It opened up the gate, but no. So I was going through a really bad breakup, and then I had lost my niece before she was born. It was just so much stuff going on. And then the conspiracy, it was the era of my conspiracy theory thing. And I'm like, I'm an artist. I'm like, I don't want to have to sell my soul just to be a successful artist. It was like so many things going on in my head. And then I just remember being like, you know what, forget it. Now, mind you, I never wanted to do any drugs because my stepdad was a crack addict, my dad alcoholic. So I'm just like, and they both told me the same. I always tell y'all, they both told me the same thing around the same time without even ever having a conversation, that basically, baby girl, you got the potential to be an addict, without telling me straight up directly, right? So I was stressed out and I was like, I don't even care anymore. And I smoked weed. And I don't even know that I was like fully really high that day, because I probably didn't know how to really smoke it right. But I did go through a season.
Girl, you was paranoid.
Huh?
I said you was paranoid after smoking that.
No. I wasn't paranoid, but
You're just not sure because you don't know what to expect, and then it ain't. In most cases, it ain't something that just punch you in the face. It kind of gradual. So it's like, am I? What is
so
it's like,
I don't think I got fully high that night, but like I remember some of my first good highs. But I do have to like use a certain, if I did smoke or do drugs. But like if I did do weed, like I have to use like a certain strand, because I can get paranoid. Because I'm definitely, and I don't need drugs. I like naturally go there. Like the people be like, I remember my brother was like, why do you smoke? Like, why do you even, like, you don't need it? Cause like, I'll naturally do the high thing. So yeah, that was my first time smoking. And that was the reason why. Kids, don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. And don't have sex either. All of it's gateway.
Sex is a gateway drug to drugs.
Don't do it.
Drugs and sex is all. It's gateways to other things. Anybody else want to jump in?
I'll tell mine quickly because it
really
Flip your camera up.
Turn your camera up and tell it.
Mirrors Denise's a little bit, but I was a little younger, so I'm 17, and I'm like first big heartbreak. Oh my God, I'm so sad. And I had never drank or, smoked. So, I was super goody two shoes, same thing, church, virgin, everything. And super, like, I'm so sad. And I say, well, I'm going to try to drink, my cares away. And I just got sadder. And so then somebody told me, you're not supposed to try to drink. You're supposed to smoke. Happy. You really should smoke if you want to. And I did. And I was like, that's the winning key right there. So my whole second semester of my senior year, I think, I was out of there.
The logic
I found something. I found something to get me happy.
Now the funny thing is, and Quentin can laugh at this, my mom's like a pastor. She'd be praying all day and stuff. So
all day.
Yeah,
all day. In the morning. I mean, so I had came in the night before, I went straight to bed. I hear her in the morning. She's speaking in tongues, y'all. She going off. I ain't trying to blah, blah, blah. She going in. Next thing I know, she bust my door open and was like, what you been into? Like, the Lord told me you up to no good. I'm in the bed like, oh my God, Mom, get out my room. I'm such a 17-year-old. I'm like, please leave me alone. But yeah, that was me at 17. So
I love that.
So for me, the first time I smoked weed, it was either my sophomore or junior year. I feel like it was my sophomore. I'm not sure. But it was me and my cousin Ira. Rest in peace, Ira, man. I sure love you and miss you, man. We 2 weeks apart. Our birthday 2 weeks apart. We almost exact same age. He was further along than that. I really don't know why I chose that day, but we just decided to, midway through school, we just decided that we wasn't going to go to school for the rest of the day. And I smoked weed for the first time, and then we just jumped on the bus and went around downtown, went to the library, just like, oh, we're not gonna go to school, we're gonna smoke. And it's one of those things I'm like, am I high? Well, I don't think I'm high, but I sure feel good. And I'm happy. And I'm laughing at everything that ain't even funny. So I was like, this is what's up. So Yeah, so we played hooky for half a day, and we just smoked and rode the bus all around town and just laughed. And I got hungry, so I know it must have worked. Now in hindsight, it must have worked because I got the munchies. And that's just what we did. That was the first time. I think I was like 16. I smoked a few more times. I didn't become a weed head off of that. I wasn't gonna buy my stuff. I never bought weed in high school. But after that point, if somebody else was smoking, then I might take somebody else's. And then I remember maybe a couple months. I was like maybe 18. I was a couple months before it was time for me to graduate. And see, this is just me. And just go back to Huguenot. I was a chess player. I've always been a chess player. And I think moves ahead, I'm like, all right, Q, you about to graduate. It's going to be time for you to get a job after you graduate. You can't be smoking because you going to fail a drug test so by the time I turn like by maybe 3 or 4 months before I graduate, I just stopped smoking weed. I stopped, and I never smoked again until I was 36. So from 18 to 36, then I did not smoke anything. Fast forward to 36, what happened? Going through a divorce.
Damn, heartbreak led us to weed.
I was like, man, look, I just need to feel better, man. Forget this.
You like them edibles. I still don't look at you as a smoker. Like, I know you know.
Well, this was before edibles and everything. Okay. This was, and I was working. This was, like you and I could say back in Video, I had a friend of mine and she smoked on a regular basis. And I'm like, you know what? I need some. So she came I had an empty house and wasn't nobody there and I'm all alone. I'm like, well, look, we're going to smoke. And, listen, if you're not a smoker, don't smoke with a smoker. That's just not, their weed is a different level of that you ain't ready for. I literally
only hit it twice and then wait.
I hit it twice, Denise. I hit it twice. Within 3 or 4 minutes, it hit me so hard. I mean, it hit me so hard. She was like, "You all right?" We sitting out on the balcony in my apartment complex, and it hit me so hard. I'm like, "Yeah, I need to go inside. This is woof." She had to help me inside. I'm over here like slumped over. All I can remember is I walked to the kitchen, and I was like, "No, this ain't good." And she was like, "You don't look too good. You need to sit down." I'm like, "Yeah, I need to sit down. Take me to the couch over here." And I walked out the kitchen, took about 2 or 3 steps. And the next thing I remember, I'm looking up at the ceiling. I look up at I open my eyes. I'm looking straight up at the ceiling and I'm looking around. I'm on the ground. I'm on the floor. And I started looking around like, why am I on the ground? And I finally looked up and I saw her. I said, "Did I pass out?" She said, "Yeah, I was just about to call." She's like, "I was just about to call the ambulance on you because you passed all the way out and you was looking straight up in the air with your eyes open. You was out for like, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds or something like that." She was like, I was literally about to call the ambulance on you.
What kind of loud pack was that? You sure it wasn't laced with something?
Again,
we don't do that.
Hold on. Let me go back though. 1998 weed is not the same as 2017 weed. Two totally different things. There's 2 totally different types of weed. And the crazy thing is, I got up and I was perfectly fine after that. I mean, it hit me real hard, real quick. I passed up and I got up. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm fine.
It was
the weirdest thing in the world.
Never in my life. Never in my life.
No, I was out of there. Out of there.
See, and people who experience shit like that, in my opinion, as a smoker, shouldn't fucking smoke weed. Like, if you start having anxiety and panic attacks and like you falling out and your heart's about to jump completely out of your chest, some people chemically just should not smoke. There's a chemical imbalance somewhere in there that your body is not fucking with this substance well. because it's not supposed to do that to people. But and a lot of people, that is their first experience, and so they're so scared to touch it again after that because they're like, oh my god, like it fucked me up so bad, like I'm afraid to touch it. You know, I guess that's kind of a good thing because it is a mood altering substance, but. Everybody don't need to smoke weed. It's like everybody don't need to drink, but everybody definitely don't need to smoke.
No, okay. Let me say this on the side note: if drinking make you want to fight people, you don't need to drink. One thing I can't stand is the drunks that want to start fighting.
Right.
You got to know if you a white or brown person, right? Like if you like,
I don't care white or brown. You shouldn't be drinking. Should not compel you to fight.
Right.
I'm telling you, some spirits, if you will.
That's probably an indication that you don't need no spirits. I don't think you need none. If there's never white, dark, in between, daiquiris, sweets, none of that compels me to fight.
Right.
Yeah.
If it compels you to fight, then you shouldn't. Don't drink.
You probably need to go sit down and do some work, some internal work.
Because not only that, you so slow. It's a high probability you're gonna lose that fight because you don't even have all of your faculties together. You probably gonna lose. Okay, all right. Second, all right. Nikki, you got another one?
Hold on, fam.
Oh, sorry. Go. Oh, okay. You got one. Jump in, Yuka now.
Man, so
hey, sir, you don't have your camera on, so I don't know when if you're paying attention or not.
I am paying attention. I'm listening, but I'm like I'm in the grocery store right now, doing the family thing. But anyway, my first time when I was back in high school, actually I started rolling weed first before I smoked it. So my uncle, he had me like roll a blunt, and I'm like, I don't know how to roll a blunt per se, but I just rolled with it. And then when I like transitioned from that and went to like the foster care system, my foster sister, she started having me rolling, and that's when I started puffing on it and whatnot, but I wasn't inhaling. So, first time, so I wasn't really I was just puffing like I was, act like I was smoking, but I wasn't inhaling.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of get the feel of it. And then it wasn't until I got to college so where they was like, just puff it, inhale, and then blow out. So once I started to get the hang of that, that's when I started getting high. And then next thing you know, I'm having like smoke sessions practically like, in college, practically like all the time. It was a regular thing. And I would say that was the best times. As far as like my high session, boy, it was it. Man, it was bad because I had because I was smoking with my college buddies, because they was my roommates. So whenever we smoke, we'll get together and we just start get the munchies, cracking jokes and whatnot, and roasting each other, and it was just a fun time. Like we had a good time. So, I did recently start smoking. I'm gonna give my similar experience to Q because when I was going through my divorce, I was like, man, I'm going through it right now. It's like, man, I want to get high, So, so I found somebody that had the ganja that I didn't have to pay for basically. So I just started smoking with him and whatnot. And then I got back into it again recently. Then I had to stop because when I notice whenever I smoke, if I get to coughing, like if I inhale and I start coughing,
that is
that mean it hit. And so I'm like, I'm high.
I mean, you there?
So I'm high. After that. Yeah, so I'm high. So so that was my thing. Like once I start coughing, I know that's it. So
that's it.
But I started to develop these paranoia thoughts.
Yep.
So that's when I was like, I have to stop, man. I was like, I got to stop because I'm having too many goddamn thoughts. That's kind of freaking me out.
Man, you got to be able to control your thoughts because, you go down 13 rabbit holes at the same time.
Yeah. But I will say this, though. I'll say another good time that as far as I can remember, getting high and smoking is when I would smoke and I would read the scriptures. Because I would see the scriptures at a whole nother level when I start reading it. I'll be like, man, Man, it go like 10 layers deeper when you read the scripture when you're high. Not encouraging those to do it,
Hey, no,
but when I was doing it, it
people
put
don't
me
want
in
to
a
hear
whole.
that.
And
People
me,
don't want to hear that, but I've had some major revelations.
You said people don't want to hear that?
No, people don't want to hear that. Oh, you get high and read the scripts. Listen, my eyes
That's why I
have been
said. That's
open
why.
to many
That's why I'm putting it.
things. You get your eyes you
No,
opened
that's why I'm
up at
putting
that
in this.
time. You get some revelations.
That's why I'm putting this. That's why I'm putting a disclaimer out there. I'm not encouraging it. Disclaimer: I'm not encouraging it. Just for those who are listening. But I can't stop or make somebody, do what they do at their own house. That's their prerogative. But I'm just saying from my experience, and I have no shame in as far as my experience. That's what I did. So I ain't gonna, I ain't get no shame in that. Go ahead, Denise, you up?
I know
I
what
was
you
gonna
mean,
say, like, not to be that person, but weed is of the earth. And I feel like the problem is typically when people are using it, they're misusing it. So if you were probably using it in its proper way because you did want to dig deep on something, to probably smoke weed and do something intellectual. I ain't saying smoke weed and go to class, kids. What I'm saying is if you're sitting at home with a good book or something like that, the good book, if you will, it could be very helpful. And if you're paranoid, you probably need to try a different strand of weed. You probably need to get maybe something that's a hybrid or something like that. Sometimes things just don't work well with your body. I don't condone drugs. If you listen, all of us started smoking because we got our heart broken.
I mean,
And that's not
that's the
way to
recurring
go.
theme right there.
I ain't told my story yet.
Oh, okay. So
Hey, when you going through it, you got to release that stress somehow. So you can't get it the other way. So you got to do an alternative way. Y'all know what I'm saying.
Right before you go, Nikki, let me say this, because my first smoking experience period was with weed. Now, you inhale, hold it in, let it get in your chest real good. Exhale, just take it all in, much as you can. That is not recommended when you're smoking cigars.
Oh.
I sat there. I tried to adapt the same thing, and I sat there. I inhaled a cigar and held it up in there like I'm smoking. I about killed myself.
Yeah,
that is not. Ain't nobody tell me.
No,
you don't inhale cigars. I had to learn that the hard way.
I'm rocking with you on that one because you never inhale the cigars. Because if you do inhale cigars, it's gonna jack you up. So yeah, man. Whenever I
almost killed myself.
Because I do the cigar thing. That's like one of my things. But whenever I do, I never inhale because I know it's going. I'm not trying to have that feeling.
But it took me. I had to learn.
I'm not trying to have that feeling.
Sitting up there trying to hold it. I almost killed myself, man. Woof. Sitting up there trying to inhale a cigar like it's weed. Oh my God, I about died. Nikki, tell us about yours, Nikki.
My first time, I'm sure, was a little bitty girl sitting on my dad's lap. I'm quite. Wow. Yeah, I know I'm very much my father's child. And it's funny because my mom, when she was down here a couple times ago, I'm a smoker, right? I am. I don't drink. I mean, I drink on occasion, but I'm not a big drinker. Never really have been. But I'm a smoker. I don't fuck with tobacco. I don't fuck with nicotine, cigarettes, shit like that. I'm a smoker. And so I got up that morning and got up early, was handling my business, and I went out to my spot where I go handle my business. And my mom was like, "You are just like your dad," and I'm like, "Well, thank you. I'm so happy when you say that to me. It's a compliment. Like I'm very humble to hear that." But my dad also died with 36 years of recovery. So while my first experience with drugs was very much so sitting on my dad's lap, I remember what liquor smelled like on his breath, right? But I was, thank God, fortunately raised by two people who decided they didn't just smoke weed. My parents were drug addicts and alcoholics. My sister and I are the only two people on both sides of our family that have broken the fucking cycle of addiction, right? So I'm very, very, very conscientious and cautious about the predisposition, right? So even though I am a smoker, I've always been open and honest with my children, right? Like I'm not a do as I say, it's I want you to do what I do. I want you to hear why I say to do what I'm telling you to do. And that's how I was raised. I was never afraid of drugs. I was never afraid of trying them. I just had no desire. I watched addicts and alcoholics my whole fucking life die or get well, right? So like I just had a different relationship with mood altering substances. Never really cared. And I've never done another drug other than smoke weed. I've never popped a pill. I've never done cocaine. Like, I've never fucked around with nothing. I don't have any interest in that. So my first time was probably is very much a little girl. And then, my first time remembering, actively choosing to do it, I had some older homegirls in high school and she had a car. So when you got the older homie and they got a car, and they got access and you're a girl, so I remember I have a box that's in my senior fucking yearbook. I have a picture of me and two of my homegirls. We used to go to lunch all the time together. Shout out to both of them. And one of my girls would always date older men. And so that's, I'm sure, where she would always get her shit from, because we're 17 years old. We're juniors and seniors in high school.
Right.
And I remember on lunch break one day rolling a joint and we didn't know shit, smoking it, just popping seeds and stems and all kind of shit, right? And then that was probably maybe every once in a blue moon. Graduated high school, certainly was older, had my own money, had my own car, was around people who were smoking, and, maybe toke every now and then. But I would say I didn't start smoking until I was young 20s, maybe like 20, 23. 23 is when I started probably smoking on a more consistent basis. It's been something I've definitely struggled with my whole life, in terms of, well, not my whole life, but my professional life, because it is a mood altering substance, right? And I very much am an advocate for health and wellness and healing and things of that nature. I think you just have to you have to know you, right? You have to know who you are. So when people talk about having panic attacks and anxiety and feel like I need to call 911, like, truly, there are chemical imbalances within each of us, right? And so when you go throw a altering substance, a hallucinogenic, a depressant, a stimulant, any of those things on top of an already troublesome space, mentally, emotional's fucked up, spiritual's fucked up, like, it's just going to compound. And so I think a lot of people, when they have really bad reactions, they weren't in a good mental, physical, spiritual space to even be taken to that next level. That's the only drug I am afraid of is mushrooms. Like, I'm afraid of mushrooms. Like, everybody's all about mushrooms. I personally, I'm scared shitless to hallucinate. Like, I don't want the feeling of losing control. I don't want the feeling of I can't make this go away. I know if I get too high, I can go take a fucking nap and eat something and I'll be fine in like 20 minutes, right? I can't be high for 6 hours and be seeing shit. Like, I can't.
Right, like, blood coming out the walls and stuff. They're like, oh, this ain't working.
You were one of the people that kind of scared me from fucking eating edibles ever, right? Like, now I'm a connoisseur, right? But, like, not knowing that there's ways that you have to consume, right? And so a lot of times people would just eat more and eat more and eat more and eat more, because it's not happening like when you smoke it, and then all of a sudden it all kicks in. And now you're like, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's toes to hip.
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't ever had a bad cannabis experience ever, to be completely honest. And I don't advocate one.
Do you remember the very first time, what it felt like? Like, do you remember at all? Like, oh, what is this? Like, can you recall the first time?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it because I don't know. I liked it because it felt good. I wasn't in a troubled space. I wasn't, I wasn't sad. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't angry. It was a social occasion. It was a joyous, like, hey, it was a safe space. It was a bunch of my girls, so it wasn't like one of those things where, I don't get intoxicated around men. I don't get intoxicated around men I don't know. I don't, so it just was one of those things where it was safe to be stupid. It was safe to be silly. It was safe to be, like, out of your mind for a second, right? And I'm still like that today. I don't get faded around people that I don't fucking know. I never put myself in situations where I'm under the influence if I'm not in a controllable situation. But, I'm 46 years old. So, I mean, it's been 25 years or so now that I've been a smoker. And I've never had any bad experiences.
That's good. So Nikki says, weed, thumbs up. Do drugs, kids. No, I'm just joking.
I don't want to say that, right? But if let's say my kids were going to go out into this world and experiment, I would rather them fucking, if I had to do something, I would much rather them smoke weed than ever pick up a bottle of liquor. Ever.
Or a bottle of pills.
That too.
Right.
And so I haven't shown them that those are allowable things, right? So even in my family system with my children, my son he just turned 18. My daughter is 28. Like, since they were little, I gave them 3 rules: you cannot be a drug addict, you cannot be an alcoholic, and you cannot be a whore. You cannot be those 3 things. Other than those 3 things, we will work on every single thing else we have to work on.
But you be a whore? Okay, you ain't let them, not even for a season?
Not my son, not my daughter. No.
Okay.
I'm co-signing that, Nikki. I'm with you.
I wasn't.
Okay, hold on. Really quickly.
Neither.
Really quickly. So we got like 5-6 minutes left.
Okay.
Everybody commit to a couple lightning rounds with me. And when I say lightning round, 15 to 20 seconds. I want to move through a couple of subjects real quick. Give us 15 to 20 seconds on each thing so I can move around and kind of cover a variety of topics. 15 to 20 seconds, okay? Get in, get out. First thing, tell us about your first job and how that job ended, whether you quit, got fired, whatever the case is. Denise, what was your first job?
Wendy's, quit, couldn't find a ride to work.
How long were you working there?
Maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks? Okay. Rudy, I don't know if you're still there. Rudy, what was your first job?
You hear me real quick?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, I'm sorry, man. I gotta get going, man.
No. Get out of here. Hey, thank you for joining us. What was your first job?
Walgreens.
Walgreens.
16. Yeah, Walgreens. 16 years old.
All right.
How long you worked there?
2.5 years. So I left.
Oh man, you was there for a while. You quit or you got fired?
I quit. I joined the Marines, so I quit.
Oh, okay.
I got my
Rudy.
2 weeks and yeah.
Thank you for joining on with us, man. Come on anytime, man. We appreciate you, sir.
All right, I'll try to come in next Tuesday. All right, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. You have a good one, sir. Absolutely.
Yes.
Ivory, first job.
Hospital food service. Cart delivered the food to the people on the floors.
I did that.
How long you worked there?
2 years.
Ooh, that's first
Year
time.
and a half, 2.
You quit or you get fired?
I left. I quit because I was moving to Texas. So.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Okay.
Nikki, first. But didn't you work at McDonald's too, or was that when you came back?
That was when I was visiting in the summer from college. I worked at McDonald's.
Okay. Got you. Nikki, your first job?
Malibu Grand Prix.
Oh, shoot. I forgot about Malibu. I remember that when I first came down here.
Licenses. Oh,
I wonder if I still got my Malibu license somewhere.
I still got my
crazy.
Yeah, Malibu Grand Prix.
Oh, how long did you work there?
Look, between the ages of 16 and 17 and a half when I got pregnant, I left it every 3 months. I fucking went from, I was like, yeah, I don't like you, I'm leaving. You want me to come in? I don't want to, I'm leaving. So I was there for 3 months. But I loved that job. I love the people. I still fuck with some of the people that I met through that time, at that time today. But Malibu Grand Prix, 16 years old, very first job. And then I went to HEB after that. And I went to Kmart.
Oh, you went to Malibu, man. I forgot about Malibu. That's so dope. Yehuganan, are you still, you there, Yehuganan?
Yeah, I'm still here.
What's your first job, sir?
At the car wash. That's the car wash. Yeah, this is back when I was in California. I don't remember how long I was there, but I do remember. I think I got fired or something like that. I don't think I got quit. I think I got fired.
My first unofficial job, my dad was a truck driver, so I was on the truck loading and moving stuff. That was even before I turned 16. My first official payroll job was at Burger King. I was there for about 2 months. I had to quit because it was a whole lot of stuff going on. People, the store was getting robbed. It was drive-bys in the drive-through. It was all kind of, and it kept showing up. Managers getting beat up, stuff like that. My dad made me quit. He was like, I thought I told you to quit. So I had to leave there because it was a bunch of stuff going on. It was in the hood. Anybody in Decatur know it was, Burger King right next to Jasper Park. I don't need to say no more after that. Y'all know what that is. Okay, real quick, we still going lightning round. Your first concert, Denise, what was the first concert you went to?
That was on my list too.
Kendrick Lamar,
Ooh,
House of Blues, $18
nice.
for a ticket, bro. New Orleans. Before Good Kid, Mad City came out.
Wow, that's good. Oh, that's good.
$18. The fucking tickets are $350 to start right now.
Nikki, what was your first concert?
My mom took me to. It was my mom. My mom took me to. It was either Janet Jackson or Whitney Houston. It was one of the two. I was a single-digit kid. I was 8 years old, 9 years old. And it was. I can't remember if it was Whitney or Janet first, but my mom took me to both of them, but it was one of them two first, Whitney or Janet.
Wow. Ivory, first concert.
Fred Hammond.
Is that the one? Is that the?
No, that's not the one where he broke my heart. I went to one when I was a little younger, when he still was my idol.
I'm laughing. I'm feeling just know I'm laughing. Ivory was telling me about she went to a Fred Hammond concert and they had this big picture on the screen of this white Jesus, and it just threw her off and ruined the whole experience.
Nikki, he's like my gospel singing like idol. Like
you got this
I've been
big white
listening to him
Jesus
for like 20 years. But the revolution is real inside of me. So like I'm up, I'm praising, and they singing Jesus Lives, and I'm praising, and then the picture of the European Jesus comes up.
Michelangelo
on the screen.
Jesus, come on.
Michelangelo Jesus come up on the screen. And I literally like sat down and was in tears. Like my husband had to say, like, Ivory, you have to pull it together.
Okay.
Like Fred ain't woke. Why would you allow this to happen?
Gosh, never did.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Okay.
Yehukanan, your first concert, sir.
It was Mariah Carey and Neo, and I think it was T.I.
Okay. I said for me, I haven't really been to any concerts. I would say my first concert was the Winans, but it was at Six Flags. We went to Six Flags and the Winans were having a concert there. And actually they had R. Kelly on there at the time. He came up there too because he produced some of the Winans songs. The other concert, maybe the first, the one that because I haven't hardly been to any, but a few years ago I went to Tobe Nigwe concert that was at HT, and it wasn't hardly nobody there, and we just right up front. And I'm like, I'll telling my wife, like, hey, we ain't gonna be able to do this for long. Like to come to a concert like this and be standing right up front to hear him talking. And right now, yeah, you ain't getting them type of tickets like that no more. So yeah, that was dope.
How old was your first concert? That trips me out. Wow. See, I've been taking my kids out to music events since they were babies too. Like, I don't know. I'm a show person. I love.
Okay, let me ask you first comedy show that you've been to. Denise, you've been to a comedy show. What was your first comedy show?
Can I talk about my first comedy show? No, because that's going to be long. It was Cleveland, but the first comedy show I went to in New York. It was Cleveland, and it was funny, and I was so surprised that like things are so much funnier in person than they are.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah.
Oh,
it's the atmosphere makes a difference. Yehukanan, first comedy show if you've been to one.
I've been to quite a few, but I can't remember my first one that I've been to.
Okay, what was the first one that you remember?
Oh man. Damn. I think it was the Laugh Factory, but in California, in LA, but I don't know who I saw at that time. I do remember the Laugh Factory. I can't remember the lineup, man. I'm sorry. So
No,
but
that's fine. I'm kind of in
yeah,
the
the Laugh
same boat.
Factory.
That's what's up. You know, we tried to go to the Laugh Factory when me and my cousins went to California a couple years ago in Long Beach. We were going to go there, and somebody, I can't remember if it was me or one of my other cousins, we lost our ID, so we couldn't get in. So then we had to spend the rest of we spent the next couple hours trying to retrace our steps and find his ID, because I'm like, we ain't going to be able to get into nothing if you ain't got your ID. So that threw us back.
Can I tell you the most recent one that I can't remember, though?
Sure, yes, sir.
The most recent one that I could remember is the internet sensation. The dude, Shula King.
Oh, Shula King. Oh, you went to Cap City Comedy Club?
Yeah. He was worth the price of admission as far as his comedy that he do on Instagram as opposed to live. It's very different, but he was funny though. He was funny.
Yeah.
He was good.
That's a good one. Nikki, first comedy show.
The original King of the Comedy.
Oh, you went to that when it was in Austin?
But I
remember my sister talking about that when it was in Austin. I remember her talking about that. She had an issue with Steve Harvey because she said Steve Harvey kind of got mad because people wasn't feeling him as much. That's I guess the show that she went to, and he started talking about little ass Austin and stuff like that. She's like, you just ain't funny, Steve. But that's the only part I remember her talking about. But yeah, go ahead.
This was Tasha wasn't born yet, so this was prior to '96. My boyfriend at the time worked the back door at the Frank Irwin Center.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he worked there and he worked for South by. So I got into every fucking thing, and so a whole bunch of us went. Of course, got backstage. I got everybody's signature. I've got Bernie Mac's signature.
Oh wow.
Tanner's signature. I've got D.L. Hewley's signature.
Oh, that's dope.
Harvey's signature, like the original.
Was that your first? That was your first comedy show?
I mean, I was like 18, so I believe so. I guess.
Wow, yeah, that to be your first comedy show, that's crazy.
I'm pretty sure. Oh my god, and that was it for me. Like again, music and comedy. If I got the money, I'm going every single time. It was the absolute best experience, and like all I wanted to see was Bernie Mac. That's all I wanted.
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow, that's dope.
So I say me, my first comedy show. I don't remember. I went to the Cap City Comedy Club in Austin. I went to a show, watched some guy. I don't remember their names. I don't remember his name, but it was when I was going through my divorce. But I remember that, and like 2 weeks later, the next show that I went to was Dave Chappelle when he came. His Netflix special that's in Austin. I was there at that show. Wow. That was dope. I was like, that was the second comedy show I went to in 2 weeks.
17, right? Because my son had just got diagnosed with diabetes, and they locked.
Oh yeah, it was 2000. I remember that specifically. I was
17,
lonely and heartbroken.
Tori went to that show,
and people felt sorry for me. They're like, "I'll pay for you. I'll pay for your ticket. Come on, I got you a show. You gonna come with me?" So that was for my second show. That was dope. Since then, I went to a couple of Kev on Stages, which is super funny. I went to Godfrey comedy show when he was at Cap City. That was super funny. And I just went either last week or the week before, I went to Ali Sadiq, and that was super funny too. I love Ali Sadiq. That was Ivory. What was your what's the first comedy show you ever went to?
I went to see Kevin Hart before he got big at the Improv.
Oh wow, that's dope.
Yeah, it was like maybe 2 years before he like blew up. Yeah.
So when you go, do you be looking like, oh man, they about to blow up?
He was so funny. He was so
right. So can you go? So like when I'm saying, when I saw what's his name? Was the one I just mentioned at HT? The one from Houston.
Toby.
Yeah. When I seen him, I'm like, oh, we ain't never getting no tickets like this again. This is like I already knew, like, he's about to blow all the way up. Like, just listening to him and watch, I knew that I wasn't getting no cheap ticket like this again ever. Like, I knew that from the jump. Like, is that the feeling that you got, or are you just like, oh, he's really funny?
You know what? I always think people are really funny or really talented because you just never know what the masses like want to hear. And like at that time, he was doing a lot of comedy about his family and kids. And sometimes people want that, and sometimes they don't. Or like, you know, people always say now like R&B is trash and stuff, and I'm like, I listen to a lot of great R&B that nobody's checking for,
right?
And I think these people should
just because it's not mainstream anymore don't mean it ain't hitting no more.
So I never know who's gonna blow up because you just don't know. Yes, Denise up there, great R&B. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay, quick one. Ivory, what was your first car?
Grand Marquis. No, that wasn't it. That was the second car. So the first one was my sister's hand-me-down hatchback Omni.
Oh, that Omni, that Chrysler, yes. That Chrysler Omni.
The second one was the big Grand Marquis rag top.
I think that was all of ours. That was my unofficial first car.
Yeah, I got all of y'all. I got all my brothers and sisters hand-me-down cars when I was a teenager. So I never like got my own. Like they would say they didn't want their car anymore, and then I would by default get the car they didn't want anymore. So
my first official car was a Ford Tempo that I bought from my uncle, and it was trash. I drove that thing from Decatur to Austin. And that's all it was good for. That thing broke down on me ever since. I had to put bricks behind the tires to keep it, to make sure it didn't roll away after I parked it. Oh man, that thing ran hot every other day. It lasted. It really just lasted for by the time I came from Decatur to Austin, that thing was done. I had to buy me a new car within 2 months because that thing wasn't going nowhere. Denise, what was your first car?
My first car was a Hyundai Elantra. It was the year before. It was probably like a 2016. Huh?
I said, you fancy?
Yeah, I had like negotiated like the price and all that myself. It was my first time getting a car and doing all this. I doing it all on my own. And I named her Grace, and she got me to many open mic nights in Austin. So shout out to Grace for jumpstarting my career.
Gray or red? Was the car gray or red?
It was silver.
Silver. Did you have it when we met?
Yes.
I feel like I remember this. Okay. Okay.
Yehukanah, what was your first car, sir?
It was a 1988 Honda Accord that I bought with my financial aid money that I got from school.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. When the financial aid kick in, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, the car was trash, though. But I learned over the years how to, you know, basically do my own maintenance on the car. But, yeah, the Honda Accord was my first.
That's what's up. Nikki, what was your first car?
I was a junior or a senior. I think maybe I was a senior actually. And my dad got me a 1988 Acura Integra LS back 5 sunroof.
Yeah.
Loaded it up with speakers and shit. Made sure it was all good to go. And he said, when you graduate high school, the title is yours. And so I graduated. Oh, wow. The title was mine. And I rode that mug until Kasha was a baby.
Yeah, roll it till the wheel fall off. That's up. Denise, tell me about the 15, 20 seconds. Tell me about the first time you got a cell phone. How you felt? Who was your provider? What the phone looked like? Tell me about it.
AT&T, but I think they were something else
singular.
At that time.
Singular. They were singular.
Yes, it was singular. And I had.
What year did you get it?
This is 07.
Okay. Damn. Okay. Okay.
05.
Okay.
05. It's 05. And it was a flip one, but it was like the one above like the other one, and it was poly ringtones. And I loved it. Like you couldn't text until there wasn't unlimited text.
Right.
Or was it? Or may have been unlimited text, but you can talk and free until after like
9.
Right, yeah.
Then it was a limited talk after 9. No internet on the phone. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
got that yet.
What is that?
Yeah. The callback tones.
Yeah.
The callback tones, because I had John Legend, Ordinary People, and my grandma loved it, and I wanted to change it to Zero. I hate you, B so bad, but I knew my grandma be calling me.
Nah, I can't do
After
it.
a breakup, so I ain't do it.
Yahukanan, what was your first phone? Tell me about the first experience with your first cell phone.
My first phone was a Nokia phone with Sprint,
What year?
and it was I think 2000, probably 6 or 7, maybe, probably a little before that.
Okay.
Probably a little before that. But yeah, no, I would say about like around 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. But yeah, it's funny how I got the phone because they had to run your credit check to see if you approved to get the phone. But mysteriously so, Sprint called me out of the blue. I don't know, because I needed a cell phone because I'm in college and I ain't got no form of communication. So when that opportunity popped up, I took advantage of it and ain't looked back since, man.
Yeah, Nikki, your first cell phone. Tell me
I
about it.
graduated in 96, so I'm going to say it probably had to be like 97, 98 is when I got my first.
Ooh, that was super early. Was it a brick?
No, it was right after the brick. My dad had a brick. My dad had a brick. My dad had the brick, had the fucking bag to go with it. But I too was with Singular.
Back in the day, if you had them brick phones, you either you worked Wall Street or you was a drug dealer. It was one of the two.
So at that time, my dad owned a business, and that was the news. Like, if you was up and coming in the world of entrepreneurship, you had a cell phone. I mean, I had a picture all the way from high school. But my cell phone number, 422-1370, that I just got rid of, a couple months ago, that's the only fucking cell phone number I've ever had. So my cell phone number was the same from my very first cell phone up until October of last year.
Wow.
I never changed numbers, never changed. We did change carriers midway through, but T-Mobile let us keep our number.
Right. Why couldn't you keep the number?
Because all of our phones were on our business account. And after we business, it was kind of like the easiest, cheapest way for me to get new phones for all of us was for me to start over. And because it was attached to a business line, I couldn't transfer it over. And I'm telling you, I fucking cried in T-Mobile. I felt like I was losing another part of me. Like, I had the same number for almost 30 years.
It hurt my feelings to the core when my mom and dad let our home phone number go.
Oh, wow.
I was hurt. I'm like, we've had that same number for 30-some years, and they switched providers or something.
217-423-4147.
Yes, absolutely. 423-4147. I remember. I'm like, how y'all let the number go? Even though wasn't nobody using it, I felt like that was part of the family to me.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was traumatized having to lose my number after all them years. And it was funny because people always knew. I would run into people that I hadn't seen for 10, 15, 20 years, but they always knew, go to the office because we had been there for years, or use her cell phone number. And I mean, I would get people who would pop up after 20 years call on my phone, and they was like, damn, you still got the same number? I absolutely do. So now I don't have the office no more. I didn't got my phone no more. We moved. I was like, oh, it was traumatic.
Yeah. Wow. Ivory, what was your first cell phone?
I think it was Sprint, 2001. I remember
That was when you was in Austin?
Yes, I got my first one right after high school, got to Austin, which was great because I had been walking in that Austin heat to pay phones to call my friends and mom and stuff. Because I don't think y'all had we didn't have a house phone. And my brother and sister had cell phones. I didn't have one. So I just remember like getting cards and walking to pay phones and stuff until I got this phone. That's not even the thing I was most excited about the phone. Was everybody's phone had that ugly green light and my phone had a blue light. So you couldn't tell me nothing that I had a blue light instead of the ugly green light. And it wasn't flipped. So they had just went to like the non-flip ones. Yeah, I was super excited.
Yeah, I remember mine was it was one of the first, it was like 2000 I got my first cell phone. I was working at Motorola. I think the phone was a Motorola. It was provided by AT&T, and it was like small. Like it was, most of the phones were still brick-like, but this was a small flip phone. Oh man, I felt so good. Like, oh man, I just thought I was doing it. Because prior to that, I had only been in Austin for like a year and everything. I was going to the gas station to buy the minute cards.
Yeah.
Get 5,000 minutes so I can call back home. And then they cheat you because the initial call took up like 75 minutes. And then I'm like, man, this 5,000 minutes is not 5,000 minutes. Y'all cheating me. But then when I actually got my cell phone, and then you can actually dial out long distance, and it didn't cost you nothing extra. You just had to, call at certain times in the evening or on the weekends.
That unlimited after 9 p.m.
Absolutely, yeah. So but I was in a relationship with a crazy woman, and that it turns against you. Because now somebody has access to you all the time. And that was the first taste of, when I call you, then how come you didn't answer? That was a foreign thing back then. Y'all remember, like, what people just say, if I ain't in, I ain't in. But when you got a cell phone, people expect you to answer. And that was the first time I'm like, I feel like I'm on a freaking leash. So I was like, I don't know if I really like this cell phone or not. Because now I'm getting these questions about how come you ain't answer your phone. Normally, back in the day, when you a home phone, like, I wasn't at home. I didn't catch it. I didn't answer, whatever. But now when it's connected to you, then people have different expectations. So that was my first taste of that. Mm-hmm. All right, we at 150. That's all I got. Denise or Nikki, do you have any last questions before we drop out?
I got one quick one.
Let's go.
First piece of music that you bought. Your first.
I can tell you right now, the first thing I bought, Tupac, Strictly for My Niggas. I love that. Oh man, that album has a and it was a tape. I know that front to back from beginning to end, and it's something about when you buy it. Especially back then, you didn't have this wide variety. You didn't have YouTube, this wide variety of music that you can just listen to. So when you listen to something, then you were going to listen to it front to back. You were going to study it. That was just going to be in your playlist. So Tupac, Strictly for My Niggas. That was the first thing that I bought.
Rihanna, Good Girl Gone Bad. I got it because I was working at Charlotte Russe, and there was this song that was like some sort of remix called Haunted. So I got it because I used to love that song, and it wasn't actually on the album I got. I think it was some like deluxe version that it was, and I ain't gonna lie, I love that little album. It was cute. It was a cute album.
Rihanna, I feel so old.
I was late to the game, to buying things. I was broke, so I was like 20.
Damn. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say my first was like junior high. I think I got a hold of like Monica album when I was in like the 8th grade, and I was listening to Just One of Them Days.
That Tupac was in the 8th grade too. That's when I got in the 8th grade. Oh, the Monica. Oh my god. Do y'all remember what was that, BGM or BCM, like the music thing where you can get all them CDs for free?
10 CDs for a penny.
Yeah, and Monica was one of the ones. Like I got Monica. I got Carl. No, it wasn't Carl Thomas. It was Dang, it wasn't Carl Thomas because Carl Thomas wasn't out there yet then. It was Brian McKnight. I got
you make me want to listen to
I got maybe Foxy Brown. I got a few of them, but anyway, go ahead.
Who's going?
Now, what was your first album you purchased?
Man, I done copped so many of them. I can't really tell you the first one that I copped, but I can't give you a list. Like I done copped Ice Cube's album War and Peace. I copped DJ Quick's album Rhythmalism. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I copped Dub C album, Busta Rhymes. Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See on that one. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a bit, man.
Oh, Extinction Level Event. That was one of the
I got that. So I was back in the day, I used to cop the CDs and listen to the joints, and I would the way that I do is like if somebody has an album or whatever, I'll listen to the whole album and see if I like it or not. And if I can listen to the album from front to back without skipping any songs, that's a bomb album right there. That's a bad album. Yeah.
I got a question, real quick.
What's up?
What
hold on. Nikki didn't give hers. What was your first album, Nikki?
For me or for the floor?
I was trying to think about the first album that I purchased, but I've been buying music since I was 16 and got my first paycheck. And I literally have every tape and every CD I have ever bought. I still have them, but the very first tape I got that put me on to music outside of my family, and I still have it too. It's a white tape, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. We had just got.
Oh, that's a classic purchase right there.
So you don't even know how excited I am to go see Jazzy Jeff at Body Rock in a couple of weeks. Like, I'm fucking excited to go see Jazzy Jeff. But that was my very first tape that I ever had was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. I was 8 years old. I think I was second grade. And that was it. It was downhill from there for me. But I have every CD and every tape I've ever purchased since I was 16.
The second tape I purchased was Scarface the Diary. That was the second one I ever purchased. Oh, I loved it to death.
I got that.
What were you gonna say, Denise?
Speaking of, so my question is, what was your first like real ringtone? And I think mine was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think that was my first like ringtone, like real ringtone.
Hey, that's a tough one. I don't remember my very first. I don't remember that. Dang.
Do you remember like a standout one from like the early days?
I remember I had a one of them was Charlie Wilson. That was one of my first ones.
My name is Charlie.
It wasn't that one. It's the one where the sun never shines without you. Never know. So that was one of them, and then one of them was the this was funny. One of the very first ones I had was the Star Wars the theme music's Darth Vader.
That's funny.
I had that playing. It was a specific one I had for my pastor when he would call me. Funny. I'm like, oh God, what they want again? They want me to do something. They want me to drive to Houston. So it was dun, 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 and every time I hear that, I'm like, oh God, what do they want now? That's back when I was working for like full time in ministry. I'm like, man, it's always something going on. And every time I would hear that, it would just be like, oh, what's next?
I do miss the ringtone days because it was I didn't do it until you could actually place it on different people's names.
Specific, yeah.
When it was specific, it was really cool. So
yeah,
I think I was dating somebody and I had some Tony ringtone on there, and I used to love just putting different ringtones on people's stuff. So
yeah, each one, that was cool.
I don't know what my first ringtones were, but I knew I was cheap as hell and I wasn't paying for them.
No, so I never paid for a ringtone.
Free option, right?
The free ones, yeah. Free ringtones, yeah.
Never had the good options in the free category, but I'm sure whatever it was foul because I always had foul music in the background. Like my pager had foul music, my voicemail, had foul music. Like it was always some foul shit. But now I don't even care about ringtones anymore, which is funny.
So one of my first ones I do remember was Snoop Dogg and Pharrell. Oh, beautiful. I just want you to know you're my favorite. Every time I hear that song, it just makes me feel good. So I'm like,
me too. I love that song. Oh,
that's cute.
Was a good one.
Cute.
All right, we get it out. We done. It's almost 2 hours. I think we
got it out.
Got a good portion. All right, hey, thank everyone for tuning in, watching, listening, all that good stuff. If you have, as you can see, we are open to talk about any and everything. So if you have any topic ideas, feel free to send us a message. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about. Be a part of the conversation or not. We'll still talk about it either way and have a good conversation about it. Every Tuesday, 8:05. Remember, the last Tuesday of each month, we are live and in person. Outside of that, is there anything else I'm forgetting, Nikki?
No, just 2 weeks from today, we will, weather permitting, of course, we'll resume back at the food truck, and of course, more details will follow. But That is going to be February 25th. So if you're in the local 512 area, come on out, join us. You know, come on out, have some food and some great conversation. If you've never done a Free Thinkers, and in person is definitely a very interesting dynamic. So you know, come and have some good conversation with us. But no, I think that's it, man. Just make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done that yet. You know, hit the share button.
Yes.
Share tonight's video. You know, bring a friend. But no, man, thanks for being here with us, y'all, and hanging in there. And those of y'all who are watching us in the comments and watching us live, we absolutely appreciate you. And y'all know we can't do this without y'all. So thank you. We just celebrated our 8th year, our 8th birthday. So, you know, we here for it, man. So we will see y'all next Tuesday.
I enjoyed this conversation. This was fun.
Me too. It was fun.
All right. Good night.
See y'all next week.
Bye, y'all.